ಭೀತಿ ತೊರೆಯುವ ನಾವು ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆ ಬರೆಯುವ ಪರೀಕ್ಷಾವಾಣಿಯ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿ ಕಲಿಯುವ
ಖಾಲಿ ಜಾಗ ಭರ್ತಿ ಮಾಡಿ ಹೊಂದಿಸಿ ಬರೆದು ಲೆಕ್ಕ ಮಾಡಿ
ಚಿತ್ರ ಬರೆದು ಭಾಗವ ಹೆಸರಿಸಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗೂ ಉತ್ತರಿಸಿ
ಪಾಸು ಫೇಲು ಗೆಲುವು ಸೋಲು ಜೀವನ ಎಲ್ಲಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮಿಗಿಲು
ಅಂಕಗಳೆಂದರೆ ಮೇಲಿನ ತೊಗಟೆ ವಿದ್ಯೆ ಅದರ ಒಳಗಿನ ತಿರುಳು ಭೀತಿ ತೊರೆಯುವ ನಾವು ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆ ಬರೆಯುವ ಪರೀಕ್ಷಾವಾಣಿಯ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿ ಕಲಿಯುವ ಪರೀಕ್ಷಾವಾಣಿಯ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿ ಕಲಿಯುವ ಪರೀಕ್ಷಾವಾಣಿಯ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿ ಕಲಿಯುವ
ಪರೀಕ್ಷಾವಾಣಿ.
Hi children, welcome to the content based the revision class. I am Ramakrishna, working in a government high school Jadigenalli, Vasakote Taluk, Bengaluru rural district. Children, yesterday you have seen chapter 1's revision class. Today let us discuss the chapter 2. What is chapter 2? The triangles. Since the chapter triangles is lengthy, we plan to discuss it in 2 classes as part 1 and part 2. In the part 1, we plan to discuss today the theorems based on similar triangles. In the part 2, means tomorrow, we are going to discuss the problems based on the theorems. Children, already you have learnt all the concepts related to this chapter. Today, let us revise once again. Let me know what are the concepts you have learnt in your classes. The learning points are, it is nothing but what you have learnt. Similarity, similarity of triangles. Theorems, what are the theorems? Thales theorem, it is also called as basic proportionality theorem. A criteria for similarity of triangles. A means angle, angle. Theorems based on areas of similar triangles. Pythagoras theorem and converse of Pythagoras theorem. Now, let us discuss one by one. What is the first point? Similarity. What is meant by similarity? See, 2 figures having the same shape, but not necessarily the same size are called similar figures. What is meant by similar figures? Any 2 figures which are having the same shape irrespective of size are called similar figures, and this phenomenon is called similarity. Children, we know the concept congruency. What is meant by congruency? Any 2 figures which are having the same shape and same size are called congruent figures, and that phenomenon is called congruency. Let us compare the similarity and congruency. See, all congruent figures are similar, but the converse is not true. What is the converse? All similar are not congruent. What is the next point we have to discuss now? The similarity of triangles. When we can say the 2 triangles are similar? See here, 2 triangles are similar if their corresponding angles are equal. Again, two triangles are similar if their corresponding sides are in the same ratio or proportion. This is the meaning for similar triangles. Again, see here, triangle, you can see, no, triangle LMN is similar to triangle PQR. Why these two triangles are similar? You can see the corresponding angles here. Angle L is corresponding to angle P, angle M is corresponding to angle Q, angle N is corresponding to angle R. See, the corresponding angles are equal. These two triangles are similar. Which two triangles are similar here? Triangle LMN and triangle PQR are similar. This similarity can be written as, see here, triangle LMN is similar to triangle PQR. You can see the symbol here. This is the symbol for similarity. Even you can see the symbol here also. This is the symbol used for similarity. Then what is the next concept now? The next concept is there are some conditions for similarity of triangles. The conditions for similarity of triangles can also be called as criteria for similarity of triangles. How many criteria are there? There are three criteria are there. Based on the three criteria, we can say the two triangles are similar. The first criteria, angle, angle, angle criteria for similarity of triangles. See here, triangle LMN and triangle PQR. In these two triangles, in triangle LMN and triangle PQR, if angle L is equal to angle P, angle M is equal to angle Q, angle N is equal to angle R. If their corresponding angles are equal, then they are similar. It is reverse to the meaning what we have already discussed. What we discussed, if two triangles are similar, then their corresponding angles are equal. It is opposite to this, or we can say it is a converse of it. If the corresponding angles are equal, then those two triangles are similar. This is the first criteria for similarity of triangles. Then what is the next criteria for similarity of triangles? That is side, side, side criteria for similarity of triangles. You can see the two triangles, triangle LMN and triangle PQR. Their corresponding sides are proportional. Which are the corresponding sides here? The LM of triangle LMN is corresponding to PQ of triangle PQR, and MN is corresponding to QR, and the side LN is corresponding to PR. If the ratio of the corresponding sides are equal, then the triangle LMN is similar to triangle PQR. This is the second criteria or condition for similarity of triangles. Next criteria. What is the next criteria? Side, angle, side criteria for similarity of triangles. According to this criteria, you can see the diagrams here, triangle LMN and triangle PQR. In these two triangles, if LM divided by PQ is equal to MN divided by QR, and also the included angle between the sides, which is the included angle, M is the included angle for LM and MN sides, and Q is the included angle between PQ and QR sides. If LM by PQ is equal to MN by QR, and also if angle M is equal to angle Q, then these two triangles, then triangle LMN is similar to triangle PQR. Based on these three criteria, we can say the two triangles are similar. Now, let us discuss the theorems based on this similarity of triangles. Which are the theorems? Already I have learnt it, already I have proved it. Which are the theorems? First theorem, basic proportionality theorem, or it is also called as Thales theorem. Then what is the next theorem? Angle, angle, angle similarity criterion. Next, theorem based on areas of similar triangles. Next, Pythagoras theorem. Finally, converse of Pythagoras theorem. All these theorems are very, very important. Let us discuss one by one how to prove these theorems. What is the first theorem? Thales theorem. It is also called as basic proportionality theorem. Then what is the statement of this theorem? The statement of this theorem is, if a line is drawn parallel to one side of a triangle to intersect the other two sides in distinct points, then other two sides are divided in the same ratio. Children, theorems, while proving the theorems, we have to follow certain steps. Which are the steps? In the theorem, they will give the statement. According to the statement, we have to draw the required correct diagram for it. After writing the diagram, looking into it, we have to write given. What is given? That will give in the given in the statement. Next, we have to write to prove. What is the meaning of to prove? Means in the theorem itself, in the statement itself, they will give one condition. By using that condition, we have to prove another thing. What is, you can see in this statement two colors. In the first color indicates given, that is the data. Second color indicates it is to be proved. It is to be proved. Now, let us prove step by step this theorem. What is the first step? Diagram. What diagram? Correct diagram for the given statement. See the diagram. Triangle ABC. In this triangle ABC, what we have to draw? A line we have to draw. That line should be parallel to another side. Here BC we have considered one side, and for this BC we have drawn DE is parallel to BC. This is the diagram. So, in the statement it is given, if a line, see DE is the line drawn parallel to one side, which is the side BC, to intersect the other two sides. Which are the other two sides? AB is one side and AC is another side in two distinct points. Point D and point E are the distinct points on the two sides AB and AC. Okay. Now, this is given and we have to prove that then the other two sides are divided in the same ratio. It is divided. So, the line DE divides AB into two parts and also it divides AC also into two parts. Which are the two parts? AD and BD and AE and CE of these two sides. Okay. Now, let us write what is given. What you can see in the diagram, that is given. What you can see in triangle ABC, DE is parallel to BC. That itself is the given. Next, what we have to prove, that is called to prove in this theorem. What we have to prove? We have to prove that AD by BD is equal to AE by CE. what we have to prove? We have to prove that AD by BD equals AE by CE. Children, to prove this, we need to have a small construction for the given figure. What is that construction? Let us see now. You can see the diagram, no? ABC is the triangle, DE is parallel to BC. What construction we have to do for it? Draw EL perpendicular to AB and draw DM perpendicular to AC and also join BE and CD. Okay, this is the construction what we have done for it. Same thing write in your own words, that will become your construction step. What is the construction now? Draw EL perpendicular to AB, DM perpendicular to AC and join BE and CD. Now, by using this construction, let us prove this theorem. That step is called proof. See, take two triangles on side AB, that is containing AD and BD, and also the two triangles on AC containing AE and CE. And also we know that area of a triangle is equal to half into base into height. Now, take the two triangles on AB containing AD and BD are the sides, triangle ADE and triangle BDE. So, now take area of triangle ADE divided by area of triangle BDE is equal to, what is area of triangle ADE? If AD is the base, what? EL is the height. Similarly, area of triangle BDE, if BD is the base, what is the height? EL is the height. You can see, no, this is the height. So, where that we have to produce BD to A, then EL is the height. So, according to the formula area of triangle ADE is equal to half into AD into EL. Area of triangle BDE is equal to half into base BD into height EL. Half got cancelled, EL and EL also cancels. What is remaining now? The remaining thing is area of triangle ADE divided by area of triangle BDE is equal to AD by BD. This is the first point. What is the first point? Area of triangle ADE divided by area of triangle BDE is equal to AD by BD. Let us see the diagram here. Now, take the other two triangles on AC side. Which are the two triangles? Take AED. Area of triangle is equal to what? Area of triangle is equal to half into base into height. Now, let us take the two triangles on side containing AE and CE. Let us take the area of triangle AED. AED is same as ADE divided by area of triangle CED. CED is nothing but CDE. Now, for area of triangle ADE, AE is the base, DM is the height. For area of triangle CDE, CE is the base and again for this triangle DM is the height. So, therefore, area of triangle ADE or AED is equal to half into AE into DM. Area of triangle CDE is also equal to half into CE or EC into DM. Half got cancelled, DM and DM also got cancelled. What is remaining? Area of triangle ADE divided by area of triangle CDE is equal to AE by CE. See, now you can see in the first point area of triangle ADE is in the numerator. In the second point area of triangle is there in the numerator. Both are same. See, in the first point area of triangle BDE, in the second point area of triangle CDE. See here, since triangle BDE and CED are on the same base DE and between the same parallels DE and BC, therefore, the area of triangle BDE is equal to area of triangle DEC. Since the area of triangle BDE and area of triangle CDE are equal, we can write the point 1 is equal to point 2. What is the point 1? AD by BD is equal to what is point 2? AE by EC. It can also be written as CE. So, this is what we wanted to prove. So, hence we proved it. So, this is the Thales theorem. Children, for proving any theorem, first you have to read the statement carefully. According to the statement, draw the correct diagram for it, then data, then to prove, construction and proof should be written step by step properly by giving reasons. Now, let us discuss the second theorem. What is the second theorem? Angle, angle, angle criterion for similarity of triangles. It is also called as angle, angle criteria for similarity of triangles. What is the statement of this theorem? The statement of this theorem is, if in two triangles corresponding angles are equal, then their corresponding sides are in the same ratio or proportion, and hence the two triangles are similar. You can see clearly in the statement, two colors are there. First color indicates the given or the data. Second color, it indicates what to be proved in this theorem. So, for here what is given? We have to draw two triangles. What type of triangles? Equiangular triangles. Now, let us draw the two triangles. We have drawn two triangles now, triangle ABC and triangle DF. These two are equiangular triangles. Why? It is given in the statement. We have to draw that type of triangles only. Now, just seeing into the diagrams, write in your own words, that will become given. What is given? In triangle ABC and triangle DEF, angle A is equal to angle D, angle B is equal to angle E, angle C is equal to angle F. This is given. Now, what is the next step now? Next step is to prove. What we have to prove here? See here, we have to prove that AB by DE is equal to BC by EF is equal to AC by DF. After proving it, again we have to prove that they are similar triangles. We know that if the ratio of the corresponding sides are equal, then they are similar. We know the criteria. Now what is the next step now? Construction. See the diagrams. Now, let us construct for the triangle DEF. What is that construction? Mark point P on DE such that AB equals DP. Mark point Q such that AC equals DQ and join PQ. This is what we have done now. Same thing, write in your own words, that will become the construction. What is the construction? Triangle DEF, mark point, which are the points? P and Q such that AB equals DP and AC equals DQ. Then what? Join PQ. This is the construction. This is what we have done for it. What is the next step? Proof. See the proof. See, to prove this, let us take the two triangles here, triangle ABC and triangle DPQ. Children, even you can write like this also. See now, in these two triangles, in triangle ABC and triangle DPQ, angle A is equal to angle D, it is given, and AB equals DP, construction, AC equals DQ, that is also construction. Therefore, triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DPQ. What is the postulate we have used here? The postulate is side angle side congruency postulate. Based on side angle side congruency postulate, triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DPQ. Triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DPQ. If two triangles are congruent, then their corresponding sides and angles are equal. See here, BC is equal to PQ and angle B is equal to angle DPQ is equal to angle E. See here, why? The properties of congruency. See here, PQ is parallel to EF. Why PQ is parallel to EF? See, angle DPQ is equal to angle E, corresponding angles. In triangle DEF, if PQ is parallel to EF, according to the corollaries of Thales theorem, we can write like this: DP by DE is equal to PQ by EF is equal to DQ by DF. Reason is corollary of Thales theorem. In the place of DP, we can write AB, construction, or triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DPQ. In the place of PQ, we can write BC. In the place of DQ, we can write AC. Therefore, DP by DE equals PQ by EF equals DQ by DF becomes AB by DE equals BC by EF equals AC by DF. So, we have proved here. Since the sides are proportional, these two triangles are similar. Now, let us discuss the theorem number 3. What is theorem number 3? Theorem based on areas of similar triangles. Then what is the statement of it? The statement of this theorem is the ratio of the areas of two similar triangles is equal to the square of the ratio of their corresponding sides. Read the statement again and again. Now, let us prove it. What is the first step? Diagram. What type of diagram? We have to draw two triangles. What type of triangles? Similar triangles. Now, let us draw two similar triangles. Triangle ABC is similar to triangle DF. If these two triangles are similar, what about the ratio of their sides? They are equal. What about their corresponding angles? Corresponding angles also equal. Now, what is the next step? The next step is given. What is given? In triangle ABC and triangle DF, it is given they are similar. Now, looking into the diagrams, let us write the given. What is given here? Triangle ABC is similar to triangle DEF, and also even we can write ratio of their corresponding sides are equal. Which are the ratio of their corresponding sides? AB by DE is equal to BC by EF is equal to AC by DF. Then what is the next step? To prove. What is to prove here? We have to prove that area of triangle ABC divided by area of triangle DEF is equal to, if we consider BC and EF for the corresponding sides, BC square divided by EF square. AB and DE are corresponding sides, then AB square divided by DE square. If AC and DF are corresponding sides, AC square divided by DF square. So, what we have to prove? We have to prove that area of triangle ABC divided by area of triangle DEF is equal to BC square divided by EF square, or AB square divided by DE square, or AC square divided by DF square. Now, children, what is the next step? Construction. Let us construct it. See the diagrams. What are the triangles here? Triangle ABC and triangle DF. What is the construction now? Draw AL perpendicular to BC, DM perpendicular to EF. This itself is the construction. Write in your own words. That will become the step. Draw AL perpendicular to BC and draw DM perpendicular to EF. That is the construction. What is the construction? Draw AL perpendicular to BC and DM perpendicular to EF. Now, what is the next step? Proof. See now, to prove this, you take two triangles, triangle ABL and triangle DEM. We know that angle B equals angle E, and also angle ALB is equal to DME. Reason? Just now we have constructed. AL is perpendicular to BC, DM is perpendicular to EF. Therefore, here angle L in this triangle is equal to angle M of this triangle. Now, let us write the proof. So, in triangle ABL and triangle DEM, angle B is equal to angle E, angle ALB is equal to angle DME is equal to how much? 90 degree. Why angle B equals angle E? It is given. Therefore, triangle ABL and triangle DEM are similar. Reason? A criterion. See here, triangle ABL is similar to triangle DM. If two triangles are similar, ratio of their corresponding sides are equal. See, in two triangles, in triangle ABL and triangle DEM, AB and DE are corresponding sides, AL and DM are corresponding sides. Therefore, we can write like this: AB by DE is equal to AL by DM. What is the reason? Proportional sides. See, even in the given, we know that AB by DE equals BC by EF of this triangle. See in the LHS, AB by DE, AB by DE, AL by DM, BC by EF. See here, AB by DE equals AL by DM. Here also AB by DE equals BC by EF. Therefore, we can write AL by DM is equal to BC by EF. And also, we know that area of any triangle is what? Area of a triangle is equal to half into base into height. Now, you take these two triangles, area of triangle ABC divided by area of triangle DEF. Area of triangle ABC, BC is the base, AL is the height. In triangle DEF, EF is the base, DM is the height. Therefore, area of triangle ABC divided by area of triangle DEF can be written as half into BC into AL divided by area of triangle DEF is equal to half into EF into DM. Now, see, half got cancels. In the place of AL by DM, we can write what? BC by EF. Now, see the statement. See, area of triangle ABC divided by area of triangle DEF is equal to BC into BC, BC square, EF into EF, EF square. See now, area of triangle ABC divided by area of triangle DEF is equal to BC divided by EF. AL by DM can also be written as BC by EF. Therefore, area of triangle ABC divided by area of triangle DEF is equal to BC square divided by EF square. If we consider BC and EF are the bases, we will get BC square by EF square. If we consider AB and DE, then we will get AB square by DE square. If we consider AC and DF, we will get AC square by DF square. Even this can also be written as area of triangle ABC divided by area of triangle DF is equal to BC square divided by EF square, or AB square divided by DE square, or AC square divided by df square. So, we proved. Now, what is the next theorem? Pythagoras theorem. What is the statement of this theorem? The statement is, in a right angle triangle, square on the hypotenuse is equal to sum of the squares of other two sides. So, here also it is given in two colors. First color indicates given. Next, we have to prove. Let us draw a right angle triangle for it. Right, what is this? ABC is a right angle at B. So, this is given in triangle ABC. Angle ABC is equal to 90 degree. Angle B is 90 degree. So, what we have to prove? If ABC is a right angle triangle at angle B equals 90, then what is AC? AC is hypotenuse. AC is hypotenuse. According to the statement, what we have to prove? Square on the hypotenuse, that is AC square is equal to AB square plus BC square. Square on the hypotenuse is equal to sum of the squares of other two sides. Which are the other two sides? AB square and BC square. Now, let us write what we have to prove now. What we have to prove? We have to prove that AB square plus BC square equals AC square. To prove this, what we have to do? A small construction is required. Let us see what is that construction. What is the construction? Draw BD perpendicular to AC. This is the construction. Draw BD perpendicular to AC. Now, what is the next step? Proof. See here, ABC, in triangle ABC, AD is perpendicular to AC. So, to prove this, we have to take two triangles here. See, triangle ABC and triangle ADB. See, in triangle ABC and triangle ADB, angle A, you can see it is common in both the triangles, and angle ABC we know it is 90 degree, angle ADB is also 90. In the construction, ABC is 90, it is in the given. Therefore, see, in these two triangles, angle A is equal to angle A, angle ABC is equal to angle ADB. Therefore, triangle ABC is similar to triangle ADB. If these two triangles are similar, reason is AA criterion. If two triangles are similar, ratio of their corresponding sides are equal. Which are the corresponding sides here? AC and AD are the corresponding sides, and also what is the next side? AB is corresponding to AD. So, here AC by which? What? AB is equal to AB by AB of this triangle, AD of this triangle. On cross multiplication, we are going to get AB into AB, AB square equals AC into AD. Let us call this is point number 1. Next, now see in triangle ABC, AD is perpendicular to AC we know. Now, let us take two triangles. Which are the two triangles? CBA or ABC and CDB. In these two triangles, which are the two triangles? CBA and CDB. Angle C is there in CBA and angle C is there in CDB. It is common. And angle CBA, you can see angle CBA is 90 degree. In this triangle, angle CDB is also 90 given and construction. Therefore, triangle CBA is similar to triangle CDB. If the two triangles are similar, which are the corresponding sides here? AC is corresponding to BC and BC of this triangle is corresponding to DC of this triangle. So, therefore, we can write AC by BC is equal to BC by DC. On cross multiplication, BC into BC, BC square is equal to AC into DC. So, what is point number 1? Point number 1 is What is the point number 1? AB square is equal to AC into AD, and point number 2 is BC square is equal to AC into DC. After adding point 1 and point 2, we are going to get AB square plus BC square is equal to AC into AD plus AC into DC. See here now, AB square plus BC square is equal to AC is common in both. Now what is remaining in the first case? AD plus what is remaining in the second? DC. Now AB square plus BC square is equal to AC into what is AD plus DC. See in the original triangle, AD plus DC is equal to AC. So therefore we can write AB square plus BC square is equal to AC into AC. Finally AB square plus BC square is equal to AC square. This is what we wanted to prove it. So hence we proved here. Let us go to the last theorem. What is the last theorem now? Converse of Pythagoras theorem. What is the statement of this theorem? The statement of this theorem is, in a triangle, if square on big side is equal to sum of the squares on other two sides, then those two sides contain right angle. Already I have told two colors are there. First color indicates given, next color we wanted to prove it. So according to this statement, let us draw the diagram. What type of diagram? One triangle we have to construct. Let us draw a triangle ABC. Here AC is the larger side or the big side. If AC is the big side, according to given, AC square is equal to AB square plus BC square. This is given. Let us write given now. What is given? In triangle ABC, AC square equals AB square plus BC square. Why AC square? We have considered AC is the big side or the largest side. Now what we have to prove now? We have to prove that angle ABC is equal to 90 degree in triangle ABC. We have to prove that angle B is equal to 90 degree. To prove this, we need to have a construction. What is that construction? Draw another triangle or construct another triangle PQR such that AB equals PQ, BC equals QR and angle Q is equal to 90 degree. Let us write the same steps in the words. That becomes our construction step. See what is the construction? Draw triangle PQR such that what? PQ equals AB and QR equals BC and angle Q is equal to 90 degree. Now see the triangles ABC and PQR. Here angle Q is 90 degree. Now proof. What is the proof here? Let us take in triangle PQR. We know that angle Q is equal to 90 degree. According to the Pythagoras theorem, we can write PR square is equal to PQ square plus QR square, since PR is the hypotenuse. And also we know that PR square is equal to, in the construction we know PQ is equal to AB. Therefore PQ, in the place of PQ square we can write AB square. QR is equal to BC. In the place of QR square we can write BC square. See here, and also given is there. What is given? AC square. In this triangle AC square equals AB square plus BC square. See both the things now. See both the things. AB square, see here, AB square, BC square, BC square. See both RHS is equal. What about LHS? LHS are also equal. Therefore PR square is equal to AC square. From 1 and 2 we can write PR square is equal to AC square. Therefore PR is equal to AC or AC equals PR. See in the two triangles, in triangle ABC and triangle PQR, AB equals PQ construction, BC equals QR construction, AC equals PR we have proved. So, in these two triangles, see the three sides of this triangle are equal to the corresponding three sides of this triangle. Therefore, these two triangles are congruent triangles. Triangle ABC is congruent to triangle PQR. Reason, side, side, side postulate. See, therefore, if two triangles are congruent, angle B is equal to angle Q is equal to 90 degree. Properties of congruency. Therefore, angle B is equal to 90 degree. This is what we wanted to prove. So, we have proved it. Children, so far we have discussed the concepts related to the chapter triangles. In the next class, let us discuss the problems based on the theorems of this chapter. Wish you best of luck. Thank you.
Namaste. I welcome all my beloved SSLC students for content based SSLC revision classes. I am Lakshmi Prasad Nayak, working as science teacher, RMSA Kengeri Government High School, Bangalore South. Today's class I am going to discuss first chapter of biology, important concepts, hints to remember, also important question and answer. Dear students, first let us study main learning points: nutrition, autotrophic nutrition, heterotrophic nutrition, nutrition in human beings, respiration, aerobic respiration, anaerobic respiration, respiration in human beings, transportation, transportation in plants, transportation in human beings, excretion, excretion in human beings, excretion in plants. Students, please observe this picture. Please observe. The first group of organisms are living and second group is non-living. So, on what basis you have classified these organisms? Yes, you are right. In living organisms, there are certain activities that are taking place, and these activities are called as life processes. What is the definition of life processes? The basic functions performed by living organisms for their survival and maintenance of their life on this earth is called as life processes. Now let us study the main learning points of this chapter: nutrition, autotrophic nutrition, heterotrophic nutrition, nutrition in human beings, respiration, aerobic respiration, anaerobic respiration, respiration in human beings, transportation, transportation in human beings, transportation in plants, excretion, excretion in human beings, excretion in plants. These are the main concepts we are going to study in this chapter. Students, observe these pictures. Yes, you are right. The first group consists of living things and the second group consists of non-living things. On what basis you have classified these groups into living and non-living? Of course, there are certain activities that is taking place in living organisms are not taking place in non-living things, and these activities are collectively called as life processes. Now let us study the definition of life processes. The basic functions performed by living organisms for their survival and maintenance of their life on this earth are called as life processes. There are several types of life processes. Mainly 7 types are there, that is movement, respiration, sensitivity, growth, reproduction, excretion and nutrition. Students, I am going to give you a small hint to remember this, that is Mrs. Gren, MRSGREN, so that easily you can remember all the 7 types of life processes. In this chapter, we are going to study 4 important types of life processes, that is nutrition, second one is respiration, third one is transportation and the fourth one is excretion. Now let us study the first type of life processes, that is nutrition. The process of taking in food and utilizing it is called as nutrition. In nutrition, there are two main types are there. Of course, you are right, autotrophic nutrition and heterotrophic nutrition. Autotrophic nutrition, in this organisms prepare their own food material. All plants and certain bacteria are the example for this, and these organisms are called as autotrophs. What is heterotrophic nutrition? In heterotrophic nutrition, organisms depends other organisms for their food. They are directly or indirectly depends on plant or plant materials, and these are called as heterotrophs. Students, let us study first nutrition in plants. You all studied in your lower classes, plants prepare their own food material by a process called photosynthesis. What is photosynthesis? Photosynthesis is a process by which green plants make their own food from carbon dioxide and water by using sunlight energy in the presence of chlorophyll. What are the raw materials required for this photosynthesis process? Carbon dioxide, water, chlorophyll and sunlight. Students, this equation is also very important from examination point of view. You all studied plants will absorb the water with the help of roots from the soil. How they will get carbon dioxide? Of course, they will get carbon dioxide through the pores present in the lower epidermis of the leaf called stomata. And how they will get sunlight? Plant leaf cells consist of chlorophyll. These pigments are present in chloroplast. Where this chloroplast is present? Chloroplast is present in the middle layer of the leaf, that is mesophyll cells, nothing but photosynthetic cells. In these, chloroplasts are present and chloroplast contains chlorophyll. These chlorophyll pigments absorbs the sunlight energy. Next, let us study the stages of photosynthesis. Students, again I am going to give you a small hint here. ACR. What do you mean by A? A means absorption of light energy by chlorophyll. What is C? Conversion of light energy to chemical energy and splitting of water molecules into hydrogen and what? Oxygen. R is nothing but reduction of carbon dioxide to carbohydrates. So very easily you can remember by remembering ACR. Students, let us study diagram based question. Question is, identify chloroplast and guard cells in a cross section of leaf diagram. So the diagram will be given in the examination. You have to label chloroplast and guard cells. So it is very important, you should also study the diagrams given in your textbook, so that labeling is also gives you mark. Next question, stomata. Stomata, where does this stomata is present? Stomata is present lower epidermis of leaf. Stomata plays very important role in exchange of gases. Also, it is very useful in transpiration process. Stomata consists of stomatal pore, a pair of guard cells. These guard cells consist of a nucleus, also chloroplast, and it is present in the lower epidermis cells. This diagram is also very important, students. Please practice it for examination point of view. Next, let us study one more question. What is the function of guard cells, or how guard cells controls opening and closing of stomatal pore? The guard cells swell when water flows into them, causing the stomatal pore to open. Similarly, the pore closes if the guard cells shrink. Here one more diagram based questions. Identify guard cells, stomatal pore and chloroplast in the given diagram. Here the diagram will be given. You have to label the required parts: guard cells, stomatal pore and chloroplast. Next question, that is experiment or activity based questions, which is given in your textbook. Why is the watch glass is kept with potassium hydroxide in the given experimental setup below? Yes, you are right. This experimental setup is used to demonstrate carbon dioxide is necessary for photosynthesis process. So why potassium hydroxide is kept there? Of course, you are right. Potassium hydroxide is to absorb carbon dioxide present inside the bell jar. Next, let us study types of heterotrophic nutrition. Students, there are mainly three types of heterotrophic nutrition. To remember it easily, I am going to give you a small hint over here. HPS. HPS means it is not higher primary school, but it is H for holozoic nutrition, P for parasitic nutrition, and S for saprophytic nutrition. What is holozoic nutrition? Feeding on solid food materials is called as holozoic nutrition. It is commonly taking place in human beings as well as in amoeba. Parasitic nutrition, in these organisms get or derive the food from the host without killing it. Saprophytic nutrition, saprophytes are the organisms which grow on dead and decaying material and derive the energy. And in these organisms, digestion takes place outside the cell. Later they will absorb the food material. So this type of digestion is called as extracellular digestion. Example for saprophytes: mushrooms, yeast, fungi. Next, let us study nutrition in amoeba. Amoeba is an unicellular organism, but still in amoeba also holozoic type of nutrition takes place. Let us study the process of nutrition in amoeba. Amoeba engulf the food by using pseudopodia or false feet, which fuses over the food particle and forms a food vacuole. Inside the food vacuole, complex food substances are broken into simpler ones, which then diffuses into cytoplasm. The remaining undigested material is moved to the surface of the cell and thrown out. This is overall nutrition process in amoeba. Similarly, paramecium also take the food inside by using the movement of cilia. So remember, amoeba takes the food with the help of pseudopodia, whereas paramecium takes the food with the help of cilia. Now let us study nutrition in human beings. Our digestive system mainly consists of alimentary canal and associated glands. Alimentary canal consists of mainly mouth, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, and anus. Associated glands are mainly salivary glands, gastric glands, pancreas, liver, and intestinal glands. Students, please observe this diagram. This diagram is very important from examination point of view. Here each part and its function also you should study. Now let us study where the digestion begins. Digestion begins in our mouth. Whenever we eat something, in our mouth, watery like material starts secreting. What it is? Of course you are right, it is saliva. This saliva contains salivary amylase enzyme, and this saliva is secreted by glands called salivary glands. Students, which digestive juice is secreted in mouth? Yes, you are right, saliva is secreted from salivary glands in mouth. What is the function of saliva? Saliva contains an enzyme called salivary amylase that breaks down starch, a complex molecule, to give a simple sugar. So next, let us study how does the food reach stomach from mouth. See, when we eat something through mouth, after partial digestion of the food, it has to reach our stomach. How it will reach? It will reach stomach by a movement called peristaltic movement. What is peristaltic movement? Smooth muscles present in the lining of the esophagus contract rhythmically, which push the food forward to reach stomach, and this is called as peristaltic movement. Please observe this. Okay. So next let us study digestion in stomach. Once the food reaches the stomach, it will remain in our stomach for approximately 3 to 4 hours. In stomach, the walls of the stomach consist of gastric glands. These gastric glands secretes certain substances, mainly hydrochloric acid, mucus, and pepsin, which is very useful in digestion of the food. So in examination you may expect question, least the digestive juices secreted by stomach write their role in digestion. Gastric gland secretes mainly SCl, mucus and pepsin in our stomach. And first let us study role of mucus. Mucus protects the inner lining of the stomach from the activity of acid or action of the acid. Next study the role of SCl. Here again I am going to give you one more tip, that is KAS. What do you mean by K? Kills the microbes entering the stomach along with the food. And second thing, it makes the food acidic, which facilitates the action of the pepsin enzyme. Third one, it softens the fibrous food. So easily we can remember KAS, a short form to know the role of SCl. Next let us study role of pepsin. Pepsin helps in digesting the proteins. Next let us study digestion in intestine. Small intestine is about 6 meter in length. The exit of the food from the stomach to small intestine is regulated by sphincter muscle, and it is the longest part of the alimentary canal is the small intestine. Intestine receives the secretion from liver, pancreas, and complete digestion of the carbohydrates, proteins and fats happens here. Students, let us study the action of bile juice. Bile juice is secreted by our largest organ of our body, that is liver. It converts acidic food of the stomach to alkaline for the pancreatic enzymes to act. It also helps in digestion of fats. Bile salts break large fat globules into smaller fat globules, and this process is called as emulsification. Next, let us study action of pancreatic juice. Students, this pancreatic gland is present below the stomach. It contains 3 types of enzyme. Again I am going to give you a small hint over here. The computer keyboard button ALT, remember, amylase, lipase and trypsin. Amylase converts complex carbohydrate into glucose. Lipase is used for breaking down emulsified fats, and trypsin for digesting proteins. Next let us study action of intestinal juice. The enzyme present in the intestinal juice convert the proteins to amino acids, complex carbohydrates into simple sugar glucose, and fats into fatty acids and glycerols. Digested food is taken up by the walls of the intestine. And remember one thing, the length of the intestine in herbivorous animals are longer than the carnivorous. In examination, they may ask questions, why does the herbivores have longer small intestine than carnivores? You can see the figure. Deer is having longer intestine, whereas the fox is having smaller intestine. What is the reason for this? Herbivores have longer intestine for the digestion of cellulose, whereas carnivores have smaller intestine due to early digestion of meat. Next let us study one more question. How is the small intestine designed to absorb digested food? Students, remember one thing, in examination questions will be asked different but answers will be the same. For example, here they have asked how is the small intestine designed to absorb digested food. This is an indirect question, or sometimes they may directly ask what are villi, what is its importance. Answer is same. Here the inner lining of the small intestine has several finger-like projections, and these are called villi, and these are specially designed to increase the surface area for absorption. And the villi are rich supplied with the blood vessels which take the absorbed food to each and every cell of the body. Once after digestion in small intestine, unabsorbed food will move to large intestine. Large intestine will absorb the water present in the waste material, and remaining waste material excreted out of the large intestine. How it will excreted out? Excretion of undigested waste material is regulated by the anal sphincter muscle. Now let us study one more type of life processes, that is respiration. To carry out all these life processes we need energy. respiration is an energy releasing process from digested food. There is a small difference between breathing and respiration. Breathing is different, respiration is different. Breathing is a physical process. It's a mechanism of taking in oxygen and giving out carbon dioxide. So the air what we expel out, it is rich in carbon dioxide. The definition of respiration, it's a multi-step enzyme mediated biochemical process of oxidative breakdown of food to release energy. And there are two types of respiration. Yes, you are right, aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration takes place in presence of oxygen, anaerobic respiration takes place in absence of oxygen. Students, in examination, activity based questions they may ask. So let us study one activity. Observe the figure given below. In which test tube does the lime water turn milky? There are two test tubes. In one test tube, air is blown with the help of air pump, and the second test tube we are going to blow the air with the help of a straw. Which test tube lime water turns milky? You are right, test tube B, lime water turns milky, because when we expel out air, it is rich in carbon dioxide. Now let us study aerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration takes place in mitochondria. It takes place in presence of oxygen, where the complete breakdown of glucose takes place. It produces more energy. The end products are mainly carbon dioxide, water and energy. Anaerobic respiration, as the name says, it takes place in absence of oxygen. It releases less energy, where the partial breakdown of glucose takes place. The end products are mainly ethanol, carbon dioxide, energy, and it takes place in yeast cells. Students, please observe this flow chart. In this flow chart, 6 carbon glucose molecule breaks down in cytoplasm to produce 3 carbon molecule pyruvate, and in presence of oxygen in mitochondria, pyruvate converted to carbon dioxide, water along with the large amount of energy, and in absence of oxygen in yeast, you can see pyruvate is converted into 2 carbon molecule ethanol and carbon dioxide along with small amount of energy. Sometimes because of lack of oxygen in our muscle cells, pyruvate is converted into 3 carbon molecule lactic acid and energy. Accumulation of lactic acid leads to muscular cramps. Which part of the cell breakdown of glucose to pyruvate takes place? Yes, you are right, it is in cytoplasm. Sometimes muscle cramps takes place. Why? It is common in sports person. Sometimes lack of oxygen will lead to accumulation of lactic acid that leads to muscular cramps in sports persons, even in us. Now let us study one more type of question. Which molecule is synthesized when the energy is released during cellular respiration? Yes, you are right, ATP. Which reactions carried out by ATP inside the cell? Endothermic reactions. The rate of breathing in aquatic organisms is much faster than that seen in terrestrial organisms. Give reason. Aquatic organisms normally breathe with the help of gills, and the amount of oxygen dissolved in water is fairly low as compared to the amount of oxygen in air. Hence, the rate of breathing in aquatic organism is much faster. Even the terrestrial organism respiratory system is much advantageous because terrestrial organisms directly breathe oxygen from air. Second thing, the respiratory system is protected in terrestrial organisms. Next, let us study how does the transport of oxygen and carbon dioxide takes place in human beings. In human beings, transport of oxygen takes place by respiratory pigment in presence of red blood corpuscles, and carbon dioxide is more soluble in water, hence it is mostly transported in the dissolved form in our blood. The human respiratory system, the main organs of the human respiratory system are nostrils, nasal cavity, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi, bronchioles, lungs and diaphragm. Students, please observe this diagram. This diagram is also very important from examination point of view. Sometimes they will ask to label the parts by giving the functions. So we should also know the importance of each part. First, let us study what is the importance of cartilaginous rings in throat. Yes, you are right. It prevents collapsing of air passage in absence of air. Next, let us study what is the importance of residual volume of air in lungs. It provides sufficient time for oxygen to be absorbed and for carbon dioxide to be released. Students, please observe this diagram. What are these? Yes, you are right. These are alveoli. What are alveoli? Alveoli are the balloon-like structures. Within the lungs, air passage divides into smaller and smaller tubes which finally terminate into balloon-like structures which are called alveoli. Uses of alveoli. Alveoli contain an extensive network of blood vessels through which exchange of gases takes place, which helps to increase surface area for the exchange of gases. Next, let us study mechanism of breathing. Breathing involves two mechanisms. First one is inhalation. What happens during inhalation? Please observe this diagram. When we breathe in air, the muscles of the diaphragm contracts and moves downwards. The chest cavity expands, air enters into the lungs. Next, let us study the second mechanism of breathing, that is exhalation. Observe this diagram. When we breathe out air, the muscles of the diaphragm relaxes and moves upward. The chest cavity contracts, the air goes out of the lungs, which is rich in carbon dioxide. Let us study advantages of terrestrial organism respiration when compared to aquatic organism. In terrestrial organisms, they use the oxygen directly from the atmosphere for respiration. They have respiratory organs with a large surface area which contact with the oxygen rich atmosphere, through which exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide takes place easily. In order to protect the surface of respiratory organs, they are usually placed within the body. In addition to this, there is a mechanism for moving in air and out of this area where the oxygen is absorbed. Students, let us study one more type of question. Arrange the following in correct order through which the air flows up to alveoli. They will give you the parts of the respiratory organs. You have to label it correctly. Yes, you are right. Nostrils, next pharynx, larynx, trachea, then alveoli. Transportation is also essential life process. In human beings, transportation mainly consists of circulatory system. Our circulatory system mainly consists of blood, heart, blood vessels. Let us study first blood. Blood is a fluid connective tissue which mainly consists of four important components. Plasma. Plasma helps in transport of food, carbon dioxide and nitrogenous waste in its dissolved form. Red blood corpuscles, which helps in the transportation of oxygen and carbon dioxide gas. White blood corpuscles, yes, you are right, they are the soldiers of our body. They protect us from disease causing microorganisms. Platelets, they helps in clotting of blood and prevents the blood loss because of injury. Next, let us study the structure of human heart. Students, our heart is a muscular organ which pumps the blood to all parts of the body. Our heart is four-chambered and upper chambers are called atria and lower chambers are called ventricles. Ventricles possess thick walls because it has to pump the blood to different organs. Atria and ventricles have valves in between them to prevent blood flowing backward. Students, please observe this diagram. This diagram is very important from examination point of view. Here the four chambers are separated by septum, and there is a walls present between atria and ventricles, which prevents the backflow of the blood. And also you can see there aorta, pulmonary artery, pulmonary vein, superior vena cava, inferior vena cava. Here students, please practice this diagram. Here you should study each part of the heart and its function, which is very important from examination point of view. Students, let us study what is the importance of four-chambered heart. Four-chambered heart is very important in higher animals like birds and mammals. Four-chambered heart prevents the mixing of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. Such separation allows high efficient supply of oxygen to the body, which liberates large amount of energy, and this energy is used by mammals and birds to maintain their body temperature. Next, let us study double circulation. What is double circulation? Blood goes through the heart twice during each cardiac cycle. This is known as double circulation. In double circulation, there are two types: systemic circulation. What is systemic circulation? In systemic circulation, circulation takes place between the heart and the body parts. In pulmonary circulation, circulation takes place between lungs and the heart. So these are the important two types of circulation. There are three types of blood vessels: arteries, veins, and capillaries. Arteries takes the blood away from the heart. Remember students, A means away. Remember this hint, which helps in the transport of oxygenated blood from heart to different parts of the body. Only exception is pulmonary artery, which carry deoxygenated blood. And these arteries possess thick elastic wall, which helps to withstand high pressure blood coming from ventricles. In arteries, valves are absent. Now let us study second type of blood vessels, that is veins. Veins brings back blood to the heart, which helps in the transport of deoxygenated blood from different parts of the body to the heart. Only exception is pulmonary vein that carries oxygenated blood. These veins possesses thin wall, and also valves are present. What is the function of valves? It allows the blood to flow in one direction and also prevents backflow of the blood. Next, let us study the third type of blood vessel, that is capillaries. Once after reaching organs and tissues, arteries divides into smaller and smaller tubes. These are called capillaries. These capillaries helps in the exchange of materials and gases between blood and body cells. Also, it connects arteries and veins. One more type of fluid medium, that is lymph, circulates in lymphatic vessels. Lymph is a colorless fluid present in intracellular spaces. It is similar to plasma of the blood but colorless, contains less protein. What is the importance of lymph? Lymph carries digested and absorbed fat from intestine. Second thing, it drains excess fluid from extracellular space back into the blood. Transportation in plants. As we have studied in our lower classes students, xylem and phloem plays very important role in transport of food and water in plants. You can see the diagram of xylem and diagram of phloem. Transportation in xylem. Xylem conducts water. In xylem, xylem vessels and tracheids play very important role. You can see the picture. Xylem vessels are long tube, runs like a drain pipe through the plant. Tracheids are thick walled, having small minute pits on their walls. These two play very important role in transportation of water in xylem. Xylem transports water and minerals from the roots to all parts of the plant, and the movement is unidirectional. How transport of water and mineral takes place in plants? In xylem, tissue, vessels and tracheids of the roots, stems and leaves are interconnected. Water and minerals enter the roots by diffusion, then due to transpiration, the suction force helps in the upward movement of water and minerals. Here transpiration plays very important role in transportation of water in xylem. Let us study transpiration. Transpiration is a process of removal of excess of water through the aerial parts of the plants through the pores called stomata. In this picture you can see the roots will absorb the water and excess of water removes through the stomata present in the leaves. What is the importance of transpiration? Transpiration helps in the absorption and upward movement of water and minerals dissolved in it from roots to the leaves, and also it helps in temperature regulation. Next, let us study transportation in phloem. In phloem, sieve tubes and companion cells play a very important role in transportation of food. Phloem transports food from the leaves to the other parts of the plant, and the movement is multidirectional and it requires energy. And the process by which the transportation takes place is called as translocation. Let us study what is translocation and where does it take place. Yes, you are right. Transport of soluble products of photosynthesis is called as translocation. It takes place in phloem. How transport of food takes place in phloem? Due to osmotic pressure, water enters the phloem and helps in the transport of food. Students, during life processes, several waste materials liberates, and these waste materials should be excreted out of the body, and this requires excretory system. In human beings, we possess well developed excretory system. This excretory system consists of mainly a pair of kidneys, a pair of ureters, urinary bladder and urethra. Students, this diagram is very important from examination point of view. Please practice this diagram. Next, let us study nephron, which is the structural and functional part of our excretory system. These nephrons are present in our kidney. Please observe this picture. What it is? Yes, it is nephron. Nephron present in large numbers in kidneys. These are the excretory units of kidney. In nephron, it mainly consists of C-shaped Bowman's capsule, tubular part and collecting duct. C-shaped Bowman's capsule consists of network of capillaries called glomerulus. The main function of Bowman's capsule is to filter the blood flows through the glomerulus. Now the filtrate contains both waste materials as well as useful materials. The capillaries which surrounding the tubular part absorb the essential materials such as glucose, amino acids, proteins, water, and remaining waste materials remains in the tubular part only and reaches the collecting duct. Collecting duct is connected to the ureter and ureter is connected to the urinary bladder. So now let us study what are the three stages of urine formation. Students, the first stage is glomerular filtration, second stage is tubular reabsorption, and the third stage is tubular secretion. Students, our kidney plays very important role in purification of blood and very useful in removal of the toxic waste materials. Now let us study how the excretion in plants takes place. Plants adopt several methods to excrete the waste materials. In plants, the gaseous waste products produced during respiration and photosynthesis are removed through the stomata. Excess of water is removed through the stomata by respiration. Some waste products are stored in the leaves and removed when the leaves are dry and falls off. Some waste products are stored in vacuoles, and some waste products like gums and resins are stored in old xylem cells. So this is overall excretion process in plants. Students, also plants will remove their waste products through the roots. Students, till now we have studied important concepts of this chapter, biology, life processes. In this we have studied thoroughly nutrition, respiration, transportation, excretion. Also we have studied the important diagrams. Students, please practice the important diagrams. that is opening and closing of stomata diagram, diagram of heart, excretory system, and also structure of nephron. Practice well for your examination, students. Hard work never fails. So I wish all the best, all the success for you. Namaste.
ಭೀತಿ ತೊರೆಯುವ ನಾವು ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆ ಬರೆಯುವ ಪರೀಕ್ಷಾವಾಣಿಯ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿ ಕಲಿಯುವ
ಖಾಲಿ ಜಾಗ ಭರ್ತಿ ಮಾಡಿ ಹೊಂದಿಸಿ ಬರೆದು ಲೆಕ್ಕ ಮಾಡಿ
ಚಿತ್ರ ಬರೆದು ಭಾಗವ ಹೆಸರಿಸಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗೂ ಉತ್ತರಿಸಿ
ಪಾಸು ಫೇಲು ಗೆಲುವು ಸೋಲು ಜೀವನ ಎಲ್ಲಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮಿಗಿಲು
ಅಂಕಗಳೆಂದರೆ ಮೇಲಿನ ತೊಗಟೆ ವಿದ್ಯೆ ಅದರ ಒಳಗಿನ ತಿರುಳು ಭೀತಿ ತೊರೆಯುವ ನಾವು ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆ ಬರೆಯುವ ಪರೀಕ್ಷಾವಾಣಿಯ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿ ಕಲಿಯುವ ಪರೀಕ್ಷಾವಾಣಿಯ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿ ಕಲಿಯುವ ಪರೀಕ್ಷಾವಾಣಿಯ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿ ಕಲಿಯುವ
ಪರೀಕ್ಷಾ